What we're talking about here is an institution that has almost gone rogue, or at least sort of lost its moorings for a few days, and really sort of overreached itself, basically in a panic.
The European Commission has been working tirelessly to secure enough doses of the most promising vaccines.
A couple of weeks ago, AstraZeneca said that it would be falling short on its promised deliveries to the EU. Now, that provided a pretty sticky political problem for Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission. Really, what she wanted was not to be blamed for the lack of supplies. So the European Commission had a choice to make, and it chose to go on to the attack. It went on the attack with AstraZeneca.
The Commission has adopted an implementing regulation making the export of certain products subject to an export authorization. This regulation concerns the transparency and export of COVID-19 vaccines.
It was surprising. I haven't seen the Commission sort of spiral so badly out of control and with so much misjudgment in my time in Brussels. Article 16 basically overrides the treaty. It introduced, in effect, a hard border, a vaccines border, if you will, on the island of Ireland. To make matters worse, Mrs. von der Leyen didn't tell Britain first, and even worse, an even greater sin from the point of view of the EU, she didn't tell EU member Ireland. I think the damage would have been far less if they had just said, well, this is obviously regrettable. We're doing everything we can to get the supplies up to speed as quickly as possible. But they didn't do that. They went out on the attack. They made it this huge issue, and they ended up with egg all over their faces.
Commitment needs to be kept, and contracts are binding. Advance purchase agreements need to be respected.
This is one large mess up. Does it throw the European Union off course in any grand sense? No. The vaccine is a short-term embarrassment. It's a short-term humiliation. As soon as the vaccines start coming in the second quarter, third quarter, this issue goes away. Right now, it feels big because the EU is so far behind Britain, Israel, the US. What is more lasting would be the economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic and the EU's joint response to that. They have a huge budget which has been agreed, and they have a huge 750 billion euro stimulus fund.
We now have a massive and unprecedented financial firepower.
If that stimulus fund works, that has EU flags all over it. If it fails in disastrous terms, then that is going to stoke anti-EU sentiment. If there's a perception that the northern European countries are getting all the investment rather than the southern countries or the Eastern European countries, then I can see that really exacerbating tensions which are always there. I mean, the tensions between East and West, the Western European countries are in the bloc first, the Eastern European countries sort of feel a bit lectured to. They're poorer anyway, but they're also highly sensitive about being treated as kind of a second class of EU citizen. It's a huge challenge to try and get this big money to the places that need it. I mean, it's a bazooka. So I guess the thing is, if you're firing a bazooka at a problem, you want to make sure you hit the problem, because if you miss, you're going to end up doing a lot of damage. It is the response to the economic crisis which is going to come, or is already coming, and how successful that is, which will inform how future generations think about the EU and view the EU.